Khrystyne, if we come back to the job for a second, like, did you um I've asked this a few times to different people, like, did you have a moment where you were like, I'm stronger at exteriors, or I really want to be an exterior designer, I don't want to be an interior designer, or did it just happen that you ended up doing exteriors?
I think in school, like I liked doing exteriors much more, maybe because they're a bit easier than interiors. Interior is super tough. I mean, like, come on, it's a tough job. But I just felt more passionate about exterior because for me, I loved like the going through like the whole concept phase and like the overall proportions and coming up with like the character of the car, like really setting the stage for like the design themes, and I just felt more like just inclined to exterior and not so much on the interior. Interior is really, it was maybe more like product design, and to
Yeah.
me like exterior was a bit more sculptural and more artistic
Right.
somehow. And that's, it's not true. I mean, the interior is just as sculptural and artistic, but that's just, in school, that's how I felt just much more like, whoa, wow, by exterior design.
Did you again, this is a conversation I've had with a couple of guys, and one of them was an art center graduate as well, in Tarek Asherv, who was in, I think he was in the second or third episode, and he was talking about the thing that he found particularly difficult about exterior design, and I think a lot of people starting out are guilty of this, is that you tend to you can overcook it so quickly. It's always
Yeah.
tempting to add a scoop or a vent or something in the name of creating something new. And I think that's where that's one of the big challenges of exterior design, is doing something that's new, but it's still credible, doesn't look like a caricature.
Yeah, no, it's difficult. I mean, how can you reduce the car to the bare minimum, but still be, true to the brand? And I think that is, that's the challenge of the job. And that's the challenge of, that's what I love too, is like finding new form language, or, finding the design theme that's, not overdoing it. And you see a lot of students do this, and I definitely made the mistake. You want to throw everything you have at the car because you want to show what you can do, but really, like if you can reduce and still have like a big statement, then I think that's the goal, then you've achieved. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, no, that it is super hard to explain. I mean, I can't do it, so I'm also super interested in that as well, because when we also at university, you want to, I don't know, you want to have this big fucking,
Yeah.
I don't know, graphic on the body side, and scoops and vents and everything, and it just ends up looking like I don't know, like a Hot Wheel, like a full scale Hot Wheels car. And
Yeah.
Hot Wheels is awesome, but if you're designing a Porsche, that's not really what the goal is.
Yeah. I think you have to just think about like the brand, and what can you bring that, fake scoops aren't going to do anything. You need to bring something to the table that is like, okay, the car needs to have this for what purpose? You have to ask, why are you doing this, and what is it for? And then, it's hard. It's kind of hard to explain.
No, I know. Well, I know it is, and I kind of I also don't know about what the right questions would be to ask with that. But I mean, like, there's certain things that work. And I mean, we don't like to use the word formula because it shouldn't be formulaic. But with a traditional, classical, whatever you want to call it, car exterior design, there's certain proportion things that work. There's certain there's certain principles that you can follow with regards to creating a cohesion around the car, so it's one product that makes sense. And I'm always like, interested to know, is it really only at the end of the process where the whole thing comes together? Because I don't know, like if I sit down now, like I still do draw and nobody will ever see them, but if I sit down now, even though I don't have the intention of showing anybody, I've got all these things of like, I start drawing and then I'm like, no, I can't do that because that's been done. I can't do that because that's been done. And everything has been done. It's kind of like rock and roll, you know, the three chords have all been used in various different, orders. So you can't do anything new there, but it might be in the attitude that you do it.
Yeah. I think you have to think about, okay, yeah, there's a point where everything has been done, but has it been done in like a Mini way? Or has it been done in like a Porsche or BMW or Audi way? Like,
cool.
You have to think about the brand that you're designing for, and how would they approach this problem, or how would they approach the solution? Yeah, to that problem. Or
that's very interesting, because I think that's the thing. You know, I think if you I don't know. It's important to think about the brand. And definitely, I mean, if you say like, okay, I don't know, if you look at what the transformation that Infinity went through, when Kareem took over, I like, you know, those were the first time, and I don't want to hate on anybody at Infinity, but that was the first time that I was like, wow, those are fucking nice cars, you know, before.
Concepts.
But then when you try and dissect it, you go, well, I mean, technically it's not anything new, but it's new for that brand, and it's that it just needed to be dialed down like 50%, or like just get down to the essence of it, which they never managed to do before. It was that was an inspiring thing to see.
Yeah, I think they had some beautiful concepts under Kareem, and you can see like his, I don't know how to say this, like you can see him coming through that. Like there's a lot of like this really soft, like he always had like this idea of precision in poetry, and you can see like this really soft with like technical, and I think he managed to do that really well.
Wow. So I have another question. Your first, have you been was Mini your first job in an OEM?
I started with BMW.
Yes.
BMW was my first job, and I was with them for 6 years. And then I've been with Mini for the past 4.
So who was there somebody that hired you at BMW? Someone specific?
Anders hired me. Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah. Yeah. So Anders hired me, and I think he was pushed by Carl Elmett, who was leading the BMW M team at the time. So back then, BMW had teams. So it was like within all the different platforms, and then there was also like the M division, and I was hired into Carl's team in the M division. And like on my first day, Anders was like, all right, you know, BMW, it's like a train, and you know, you got to get off the platform, it's going to go fast, and it's just going, and you know, you need to just jump on this train. And so I was expected to do like M work, but also production work. And then shortly after, you know, Anders left to Mini, like right after I got hired, and then they kind of like disbanded all the teams, and then we all became like one big giant team at BMW. So everybody had to work on everything.
Right. So you didn't actually work with Anders.
I only worked with him for like such a short period of time, and then like when he went to Mini, and then I wanted to come to Mini because that was like my end goal in Art Center. Like I loved Mini. I had a Mini Cooper S. Like I wanted to be there. So when I got hired when I switched over to Mini, I was so excited. And I was also excited to work with Anders. But then like a week later, like he left. So I was like, dude, I'm just chasing you everywhere. I'm like chasing you out of BMW, chasing you out of Mini. I'm like,
what a shame.
Yeah.
So and okay, hold on a second. There was something that I wanted to. Okay, you talked about the I mean, the immense amount of hard work that you went through at Art Center. Were there any like big personal sacrifices that you had to make professionally, at least in the beginning, in order to make this happen?
Personal sacrifices, like,
yeah, I mean, I mean, like, say to your friends, for example, sorry, you're not going to see me for fucking 2 years because I'm 10 years because I'm gonna learn to draw, you know, or leaving family behind or that sort of thing. I mean, because you're in Munich now.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I mean, sacrifices at Art Center. Yeah, you definitely sacrificed your social life. Like, you had like 3 weeks in between semesters to go out and do whatever you wanted, and then it was back to business. But yeah, when I came to Germany, I got hired like a year after I had graduated, and in between that time, I was doing some other stuff, but. You know, I came with like 3 suitcases, and they sold everything, sold my car, sold both my cars, got rid of everything, and, you know, headed over here. And I thought it was only going to last for 2 years. So I told my friends, okay, we're going to do this for like 2 years. It's not, you know, I'm not really good. I'm going to get there and I'm probably going to fail. So it ended up to be like, 10 years later. And
why did you think it was only going to be 2 years?
Oh my gosh, it was so intimidating. You go into the studio and, like, you know, here is all these designers that you like look up to, that you see on like simcom.com, or, you know, you've read about in auto and design or car styling. And I thought, oh my God, what am I doing? I don't belong here. You know, I didn't think I was good enough. Like, I just didn't believe that I would last. Yeah.
You didn't think that you'd last. Was there anybody that kind of, again, kind of came up to you and was like, you know, everything's going to be okay. And I'm going to, you know, help you through the situation?
I mean, I had a mentor in the beginning, Pierre Leclerc. He really like helped me, you know, get my shit together and taught me a lot about the process and said, okay, like, this is what you need to do. This is how you work with a modeler. This is what you do. This is what you don't do. And, he really pushed me hard. But again, like, you know, it was hard, but at the same time, like, all the guys in the studio, they were really, how can I say? Sorry, I'm like spitting shit out.
No.
I'll start over.
I don't. That's me through and through. I can't get my words out. I mumble shit.
I speak English, but I'm having a hard time speaking English. You know?
You have a license to mumble and not say things perfectly. It is kind of unfiltered, and there's no perfect edit or answer or anything like that. It should be the realest shit. So you mumble away.
Okay. No, but the guys in the studio, they were all so supportive. And, you know, we were all just starting out. It was like Sungmo, me. Okay, Anna was there for like a year before us. Sebastian Sim and like Hussein and Alex Ekimov, and then Ernest came, and we just had a really good crew, and we worked really hard and we pushed each other. Everybody gave their honest opinion and, you know, helped each other out. And I thought it was really cool.
That's awesome. Do they have like a standardized mentoring system or not really for graduates?
Not really, but at the time, I think Karim really wanted to set that up. And so we did kind of pick a senior designer to like kind of pair up with or mentor with in the beginning. But now we're all the same. We're all at like the same level. So there hasn't been any juniors since. So
yeah. I don't know. I haven't heard of anywhere that does that, to be honest. And I think it could be a really positive thing. But yeah. I mean, it's not. I need to be clear in saying that it's not that there isn't some sort of mentorship that happens within these design studios, but it's that there isn't something that's officially in place to say that, you know, when a graduate comes into the studio, he will by default be assigned to X and Y manager and for a period of time to go through that whole process. I think it's.
No, I think it would be super beneficial because coming out of school, I mean, I did all my internships, in California studios where we were super far away from the OEMs. So the processes, even though similar, it was still very different. I didn't get to work with like a cast model or see how people worked with with the clay or how the sketch reviews really worked, and it was just a different environment. And so coming here, I was like, okay, kind of like this fish just like flopping around, like going, I don't know what to do. I don't know what's going on. And, luckily I had won a couple of sport packets where I got to work in like, full scale clay, and I got to learn the processes, and like, it was kind of like baby steps into, working on like full size production cars, like, the full project.
Are you guys still doing a lot of clay work now, or has it got considerably less?
It's a lot less, but in the last 2 years, I've still worked on like 2 full scale clay models, and I truly believe that we have to do work in clay. There's just no other way. Like I like that we work in digital to check. To check with Technic and to check like Aero, but I do feel like the car comes out when you're working in the clay.
Again, it's a recurring theme that comes up all the time, and I think there's arguments for and against, and I think it would be such a shame to see it go. I understand I understand both sides of the argument, but I love it, and I love seeing the models. I love the smell of it. I've got this nostalgic thing about it. And again, to go back to those early sketches that I saw, the BMW stuff, and I'm also like a big Chris Bangle fan as well. One of the things, like I was fascinated with the whole this clay process, and I did before I got to university. Again, it was like there was no information on it. I couldn't. Yeah. I went to my ceramics person in college, and she was like, I really don't know. I just don't know." And I was so excited to touch it and to feel it and to learn how to use it at university. I was really, really excited to do that. I think a lot of people were.
And I was really excited to get into the clay phase. I mean, not just because like this is what my family does, but it was because it was finally a point where you got to actually like feel the car or like see it in front of you. Because even though you're working in cast, like you're still working, on a 2D surface. And then when you get to the clay, you can actually like walk around. You can see like, okay, now I know where my proportion issues are. Like, seeing everything on a small screen, you don't really. It's just not the same. It's even though it is an alias, you can spin it around. It's still 2D. And I was always excited to get to the clay phase.
Is there like one particular area of your job that you really like the most?
Yeah, I like to do like the pre-production stuff, like when we start to strategize about, okay, if we have any new products in the portfolio, or thinking of the new character of the car, and how can I
like the start of the plan, the start of the project. I mean,
like going through like the proportions and really like optimizing packages and seeing if you can come up with a new proportion. Sorry, I'm like stuttering.
No, don't worry about it. But I mean, arguably, we're the most creative, like at the start of the project when most of the creative decisions are being made. Or are you talking about like, I don't know, design strategy?
No, I think it's a little bit of both. I think in the beginning, like we do a lot of like proportion models and sketch models to find like the character of the car. Yeah. And then through these proportion models, we're also, pushing engineering and trying to come up with, new solutions that can optically like maybe like shorten the car, or, optically like make the car look bigger, or make the car look. And then I really like doing this part because, when you do find a solution, it's successful, and it ends up being in the final product. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's mega. But it's also a long fucking process though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot of fighting, and it's a lot of like pushing, and sitting down and working with the engineer, but I like that. I love how can I say this, like fighting for design. I don't know how.
Yeah. But it's like, how fucking irritating is when you think you've got like all of those things worked out, and then some big dick marches into the room and he's like, by the way, we need to change the package.
Yeah, that's really frustrating. But like, I'm always like, well, why? Well, what's the purpose behind it? Like, okay, well, what's the reason? Okay, well, what about this? And like, what about that? And I'm always like throwing like 100 questions back. Like, why do we have to change the package? Like, is it going to do us any good? Or, are we going to be able to compromise in other areas? Or is this just like, okay, it's set in stone? Like, how much leniency do we have here? And, how much are we talking? Like, I'm always like trying to hustle.
How often does that pay off?
This happens all the time. I mean, like they're always coming back. Like, especially now that Aero is, Aero is extremely important, because we need to hit like super tough CX numbers. They come back with things, and you're just like, they want 50 millimeters here, and you're like laughing. You're like, wait, what? No, like, okay, but how much can we give? To get. So it's a lot of compromise. And I really love this part, because I'm a fighter. Like I love arguing. I love fighting. And I love pushing people's buttons. And so I give my engineer a lot of shit, but we have a good time together.
Cool. Khrystyne, I wanted to ask you, are there any women that you really look up to in the business?
Yeah, there is. So when I was at Art Center, I met Michelle Christensen, and I don't know if you know who she is, but
no.
she.
I'll write her name down.
Yes, because she is one to know. She's just fascinating to talk to, but she's always been there for me as like just a mentor in this industry in general. Like we talk all the time on Instagram and like through WhatsApp, and we discuss. Nothing like specific, but just, specific situations or not, nothing specific, but, situations, and how to handle them, and how to professionally handle them. And she's been in charge of like the NSX, and she was like the first woman to design for Acura.
Oh, fuck. Sorry. I do know who she is. I do know who she is. Sorry. My bad. Yes. Yeah, I do. Yes.
No, I really...
So you got, was she at Art Center the same time as you?
She graduated before me. She graduated in Sasha's class. So it was like her, Jason Wilbur, Juan Q King. They had like a super gangster class. Okay. Yeah.
That does sound pretty hectic. So you guys are still in touch, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool.
She's someone who I've always looked up to, and she's just been like a mentor for me.
Cool. And as we kind of bring things to a close, I wanted to ask what advice you would have for young or old women starting out getting into the business.
I think from what I can say from experience is that, comparison and comparing yourself to like others is just gonna, it's like the root of all insecurities. So just go out there and you do you. Like, don't look around and say, okay, I need to be like this or I need to be like that. Like, use that to push you to be better, but don't achieve to be somebody else. Like, and I think this will help with the confidence issue, because I know I'm not the only one who comes into this industry like thinking they're shit and like, okay, I gotta work on the confidence. But the second you focus on yourself and focus on the work ahead of you is when you can really put yourself into your work, and that's what gives you like the confidence to move to go up and to move on.
Cool.
I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense, but
no, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. Cool. Well, awesome, Khrystyne. I think, yeah, on that note, we'll probably end off. I need to just say my background is completely fucked up because I didn't close the windows and I've got light coming in now and it's completely ruined the whole black background.
That's
So
okay. I've
I
got
have
this
to,
thing.
I have to apologize for that. But yeah, that was great. Thank you. Are you, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm still pretty nervous. And I hope
Cool.
I didn't screw it up too much.
No, that's cool. All right, so we'll basically, I mean, we'll cut there, and yeah, it's over. But that was great. Like, yeah, it was fucking really, really good. And
Thank you. No, I'm sorry. There's so much more that I wanted to say, and this is like every single sketch presentation that I do, and like, it's not till like afterwards. I'm like, oh shit, I should have said that, or yeah, I wanted to say this, and then you're like, oh.
But honestly, I have that problem as well. It's a real. I said that if nothing comes out of this whole podcast thing, it's hopefully that I learn to be a better communicator because I'm fucking terrible at it. Like people speak to me for the first time. I don't know. I don't even want to know what they think, because the amount of times where I've just got like 200 things coming through my head at once and like just mess comes out of my mouth,
But the same, like I have like all these thoughts in my head and like all these things that I wanted to say and like the correct timeline, and then I'm like, and I feel like I've completely learned how to forget. I learned English. Like my my grammar is like the level of a third grader, and I'm just like,
no, it's fine. I mean, the thing that a lot of students and the in our small little audience have really responded to is that, it is the fact that they don't want to listen to another fucking trained executive that's, been told for the last 20 years exactly how to answer a specific thing. They're tired of that shit. So, I think, there's an authenticity that comes through and you shouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, okay. I'm still working on my presentation skills. I mean, like, Ollie had me present The Countryman for the world premiere. And like, I was so nervous, even though it was just me and the cameraman, like up in the Alps. And I'm like pulling out the notes in the back of my pocket. Right. Okay, then putting them back and then like pulling it back out. And I was like, I was shaking. And like, I even when I go to present my sketches, I'm still like shaking, and it's like no reason. Like I've done this 100 times before, and Ollie and my exterior chief Thomas, like they're like, it's okay, we're all family here, and like it's no big deal. It's just us, and I'm like, yeah, but I get so nervous, and I don't know why. It's just.
Are you still pretty happy there, Khrystyne? Is everything?
I love working for Mini. I don't know what it's like to work in other studios, but we have like the best team spirit.
Wow,
like I just know
awesome.
that Mini is like a family, and it's one that you just can't really imagine leaving because I don't even know if you'll find this anywhere else. I don't think the grass is greener on any other side.
Okay, well that's great that you know that you kind of feel that, because often people sometimes I don't know, they walk away from that in pursuit of greener grass, and it sometimes more often than not doesn't exist.
Yeah, and I mean I know that a lot of people say that, or like what Anna talked about, like she felt, she knows that she's like the minority, but with Mini, even though I'm the only girl on the team, like I don't feel like that at all. Like we are so supportive of each other. And if like one person has success on the team, like, we all have success. And even though we're competitive, but it's like a good competition. And, if you see a theme and they say, so I tried Khrystyne's like theme on this sketch, but I put it in this way. And, it's like, that looks cool though. I didn't even think of that, and we really share ideas, and it's more of like a team effort. And it's something that I don't see anywhere else. And
That's a really positive thing to hear. I mean, like, and it's not, it definitely isn't the case like that everywhere else.
No.
I mean, I know there are some places where that does exist, and I've seen it before, but I've also seen a lot of, like, you know, hold it, like they don't want to, nobody wants to show their ideas, but, you know, and that's fucking stupid and
it is
sad. But
at the end of the day, like this is not your car. Like it's a team effort. Like there's so many. There's so many people that go into bringing this car into production. I mean, it's like you and then your project leader, you've got the cast team, you've got the clay guys, then you've got like the interior, you've got color and trim. I mean, there's so many people that have their hand and put their own personal like spice into the mix. That's what makes this like success of the project successful. Yeah. And I mean, even though maybe you did the original sketches, you know, it still takes a whole team of people to get that into real life.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. This and it's not like 3 people, you know, it's a whole fucking
it's a whole grip of people.
Yeah.
And like the guys that I work with, like, you know, the cast guys, like, they'll come up with solutions and you're like, fuck, why didn't I think of that? You know?
Yeah.
And when it's no, it's so to me it's really about, Mini is like such a team effort, and I really like that. I like that message that they send.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So that was thank you very much. And thanks for organizing the headset, the sound. I think it's good. I don't know. I'm sure it sounds good to me. So yeah.